Rolling into the stretch run and some turbulence for the Cubs after another loss last night. I'm Mick Gillespie. This is the Cubs Baseball Channel, and we're into the stretch. We're going to talk about the Cubs today. The fact that I think that there's a little bit of concern, but no need to panic. But first, let me ask you to be part of the channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And thanks for hanging out with us at the Cubs Baseball Channel. All right, let's get into it. Last night, Justin Steele, not very Justin Steele-like. And, you know, you knew he was due one of these type of starts. Like a lot of great pitchers, it wasn't really that he got hit around that much. He just made some mistakes. He made two mistakes that cost him 3 run homers, 2 of those. And the Cubs lost the game because of that. And they lost it also because their offense right now is missing. It's missing in action. And what my hope was, you promote Pete Crow Armstrong, Hollywood Pete gets there, he makes a difference for the Cubs. Maybe he's the spark. And what we saw was he looked a little bit nervous. He looked like a guy trying to get his footing when the Cubs played in Colorado. It wasn't his fault that they lost, but at the same time, it takes players, maybe more than a couple of games to get adequated to the big league level. Some guys jump right in there and it all comes together, and then they struggle a little bit later. I just thought that having Hollywood Pete on the roster, and I still think this, will make a difference somewhere down the line. The other part of this is injuries. Jamer out of the lineup right now. You don't have him. Adbert Alzolay, not there. Not that it even matters because the Cubs haven't had an opportunity to get a save. So maybe Jamer missing a little bit more right now, hurting the Cubs than Adbert. But you look at the runs that they scored in the 9th inning last night, and it was like, hey, home run by Happ, another home run by Suzuki. And you just wish that those runs would have came a little bit earlier in the game and the Cubs would have had more of an opportunity to do something about it. And don't forget, I've said this before, and I know you guys hate when I say this, but I'm just so ready for the robot umpires. I'm ready for the umpires to pop in and just basically have a headset like I'm wearing right now, and a machine tells them whether it's a ball or a strike. You get in the 9th inning last night, and you get 2, not 1, but 2 different, absolutely horrible strike calls, and it really kills your opportunity. You can't afford any of them because you're down 6. And I just feel like the human element needs to be out of the game. That's not why the Cubs lost last night. But I'm just telling you my own personal been around baseball for my entire life. People make mistakes, and I'm looking forward to them perfecting the robot umpire, which they haven't done yet, by the way. And I heard from some guys that that the strike zone was too small, too narrow. In the minor leagues, they're using it in AAA. But watching last night, a pitch that's way outside, and then the catcher catches it and moves it back, and the umpire calls it a strike, and it's not a strike. I'm sick of that. I think framing to me is just, it's like some kind of like illusion art. What should matter is if it's a strike or not where the catcher pulls the ball after the pitch crosses the plate. So that's my rant. And I guess that's, having the Cubs lost 3 games and a little frustration. Marcus Stroman's back. Your comments on that? I'm really impressed. I heard that he wasn't coming back. Don't expect him back. The cartilage in his rib cage being cracked was a big deal, and that he wasn't going to be returning. And I think he saw the team and what they were doing, and as a competitor, he just wanted to be a part of that. He worked really hard to get back out on the mound. And it's not set in stone what his role is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets stretched out and starts. I wouldn't be surprised if he closes games. I wouldn't be surprised if he's middle relief like he kind of was last night, back end relief, whatever. All I know is that it was great to see him pitching and doing a good job. So I guess the next thing is just, how does his body respond to pitching? And if he's okay, that's good news for the Cubs with 14 games left down the stretch. Another option that you guys need to keep an eye on, I keep getting reports from Iowa that Ben Brown is tearing it up as a reliever. Remember, he went on the IL, came back, and his last relief outing, 2 innings, no hits, no runs, 3 strikeouts, throwing upper 90s with a hammer and just getting outs. And you may need him. And we'll see what happens. But Daniel Palencia was sent back. I think Palencia has the potential to be a real big-time option for the Cubs moving forward. But same thing with Pete Crow Armstrong. They just the games have to get a little bit smoother. You can't have the wild pitches. You got to throw more strikes. But the stuff is there, and we'll see with Ben Brown. I think the biggest thing for him is just throwing strikes, going in there and taking care of business. Let's take a look at today's pitching matchup. Kyle Hendricks in a game where the Cubs need a stopper, getting the start against Kyle Davies. Former Cub Kyle Davies, who's had a dreadful season. But the way that the Cubs are going right now, I don't even know if that matters much. But he's 2-5 with a 6.81 ERA. Maybe this is the perfect guy to get back on track against. And he'll go against Kyle Hendricks. All right, let's take a look at the standings. This is the schedule. This is what we're looking at right now. So the Diamondbacks have won the season series. That was after yesterday's win over the Cubs. They take the season series. Cubs still have a chance, though, to win this series, and they can do it with a win tonight and then a win tomorrow. Both of those are night games in Arizona, and then the Cubs come back home for the final 6 games against teams in last place or at the bottom of the division. I guess I should not throw the Pirates in there with the Cardinals. But these are teams that you should beat at home, and Wrigley's going to be rocking. So those are really important games coming up. But the 2 that they're playing right now, to me, I think you got to win them. And I think you got to win them both. And the reason why is you just don't have any more room for error against the Diamondbacks. And for the Diamondbacks, got to give them credit. They've waited and played their best baseball against the Cubs, which has been impressive. But let's take a look at the wild card standings. This is why I think that right now, going into today's game, you really need a win. And that's because all of a sudden you're a game and a half ahead of Arizona and Cincinnati. Miami's only a half game back, and the Giants are still in there a game back. But the team I'm keeping an eye on is Arizona, because you play them back-to-back games. If Arizona wins the next 2, then it's the Cubs that would slide back. Potentially, if Cincinnati won their next 2 games, the Cubs could be on the outside looking in. That makes these must-win games with 14 remaining on the schedule. So that's kind of where we are right now. And let me say a couple more things. Hopefully some of you guys are still hanging. I feel comfortable with where this Cubs team is, even though they've struggled the last couple of games. You got to remember that since they got rid of the shift, the Cubs middle infield is I think the best, or maybe the second best in baseball, depending on, who you are and what you look for. But I love Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner defensively. They've been great. You got Pete Crow Armstrong, Cody Bellinger up the middle, sometimes Mike Tauchman. When Jamer's in there, your corners are solidified, but he's gone. He's on a 10-day IL, so he's not an option right now. But all in all, the Cubs defense has been really, really good. Secondly, their offense up until this, these last couple of games, and it's not like they haven't scored runs, but the pitching hasn't held on. The games in Colorado blew leads both nights, or both games, and then last night, you were down by 6, so I'm not going to put that on the offense. Scored 4 late. But since June 13th, the Cubs have had the second best offense in baseball. Everyone's chasing Atlanta, but the Cubs offense has been really good. Their run differential is good. And I know you guys will say, well, you know what, run differential, I mean, it matters, wins and losses. I agree. But I'm just telling you that the bottom line is that of the teams that are in this, and let me pull this up again, that are in this right here, I think besides the Phillies, the Cubs are the second best team. I like the Phillies and I like the Cubs. The Diamondbacks are in this because they've played their best baseball against the Cubs. I mean, let's be honest. Those wins against the Cubs have helped them so much. 3 at Wrigley and now another one here. So they're 4-1 against the Cubs. And all of those games are like losing you're losing twice. Not only are you losing, but they're winning. So that's put the Diamondbacks in a position to really make it tough on the Cubs if they win the next 2 games. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on. That's an update. Appreciate you guys being here. Don't panic. We still got 14 games left to go. We're down the stretch. Who would have thought in June that the Cubs would be in position to make the postseason? And this is an opportunity for David Ross to prove his stripes, to unite the fan base behind him if he's able to get this team in the playoffs and make some noise. Now, my final thought today is about David Ross and managing this team. And I feel like Cody Bellinger, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ, I feel like these guys are a little fatigued right now. They're not getting a lot of days off besides the scheduled days off, and some of those are travel days. And it's a tough decision to make because every game matters. Like when they pulled out Javier Assad in that game against the Reds and then threw in a reliever to lose the game, that game was important. And I felt like that was the wrong decision. Well, now you got to figure out how you're going to get your stars some rest. We saw Bellinger DH, a couple of games. This is really important. Go back to 1969, and all the people who followed the team felt like Leo, the manager, Leo DeRozier, just kept the starters in and didn't use the bench enough, didn't give those guys enough rest. I'm not saying that the Cubs have that option, but I'm saying they've got to be creative because not only do you need to make the playoffs, you got to have something left when you get in. So just think about that as we move forward. But like and subscribe. Thanks for being here, guys. And we'll keep on posting videos. Got some fun stuff coming up next week in the talk with Al Yellen from Bleed Cubby Blue. Always a fun site to take a look at. I love Al. I'm going to talk to my man Crawley at some point, one of the number one Cub fans out there. And, we'll hear from, a lot of you guys on the message board as well. So keep on throwing those messages. I'm Mick Gillespie. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and really appreciate it. Have a great Saturday.